There's no sound. Let me go ahead and get this fixed, guys. We're 2 minutes and 13 seconds into this, and thank you, April Hagens, and everybody for telling me there's no sound. Let's talk a little bit. Had the mic muted. I want to say to everybody, happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Hope everybody's enjoying it out there. Thank you, everybody, for letting me know. I finally got the sound back going. But happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody out there watching the show. I hope you guys had a very blessed holidays. And if you're still doing the holidays, hope you still have a great slate coming up for you. You know, there's 3 things in December that kind of happen. People enjoy Christmas and enjoy the holidays. People get sick, and high school basketball ramps up. Basketball in general. And unfortunately, all 3 of those things are happening for me. I know a lot of people's getting sick right now. It's terrible. But let's talk high school basketball today. What's some things I want to speak on? I want to speak on King of the Bluegrass, kind of give a little bit of an overview, how it went, who was some of the top performers, who impressed me the most. I'll be dropping an article here in the next few days that has, a few names from every single team. But today we kind of got the top guys mainly listed on a list. We're going to talk about some teams that's on the rise for me, some teams that I enjoyed getting to see, not just in King of the Bluegrass, but in general. And also, I want to speak about the Lexington Catholic Tournament. That will be the 27th through the 30th. I have all the teams listed. I have a few. I want to make this clear. I want to give a shout out to all the photographers whose images were used today. So let me go ahead and shout that out. Let's give a shout out to the 10th Region photographers. Billy Kane with Woodford, Snapped by Will with Trinity, Hack Media in Butler County, Shot by MB. That's my guy up there, Jacoby Powell. And Face Off Sports Photography. These guys put out great images and great photography that I was able to use today for the show. I want to give a big thank you to our sponsors. You know, you guys have been some of my sponsors and by me all season long, so let me continue to give to you. We have Grayville Funeral Home, Stacy's on Main, Tent Studios, Patton Funeral Home, Vet City Barbershop, Laser Designs, and Fleener Fencing. Thank you all so much for sponsoring. Remember, a majority of our sponsors are based in Edmonson County, Kentucky, just about 30 minutes north of Bowling Green, but we're willing to have anybody on the group. We've had people from Louisville, Eastern Kentucky, everywhere. But thank you, everyone who's tuning in so far. I really enjoy it. We already got a good portion of people in here, and I think we should go ahead and get it started. So this is not really going to be in any sequence. This is kind of a chill, setback, laid-back podcast. Enjoy it. Let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about the King of the Bluegrass review. Now, these were the awards that were given out to the players. You had the champions, you had the MVP, and you had the most outstanding player. And as you can see below, the champions were St. X. The MVP was Jeremiah Jackson of St. X. And most outstanding player was Armello Boone. And, we know the MVP is going to go to whoever is the best player on the winning team. And I think it was very fitting to give it to Jeremiah Jackson. Jeremiah Jackson, almost 95% of the time when he's on the floor, he's going to be your best defender. He's going to be your physical guy. So his impact on the game is so much more than just the box score. They've yet to post the stats from the final game against Bryant, Arkansas. Let's talk about the 2 out-of-state teams a little bit. In Mater Lakes, which was led by Ty Bell, son of Raja Bell. Phenomenal. The kid's a freshman, holds 2 D1 offers. I think he was top 5 in points per game at King of the Bluegrass. So that kid has a bright future. That kid's going to be great. I hope to see them in the King of the Bluegrass again in the future because I wouldn't mind them being a reoccurring guest, especially if Ty Bell stays there. But you never know. Sometimes it's unlikely. Prep schools will come grab those kids quick. But Jeremiah Jackson was a consistent 10.5 rebound, 5 assist kind of guy, multiple steals, played defense on their best player every game. So I think that was super impressive. Against Bryant, Arkansas, the stat sheet said that R.J. Young, who was the top player for Arkansas, shot about 6 for 25. So I think it just speaks how great this St. X defense was, this team was. We talk about St. X all the time, but they're our number 1 in the state right now. And, I mean, it's the way they play. Coach Klein and the guys are just such good player coaches. They get these guys to give 100%, 110%, 90%, 99, 100, 110% every step of the game. They play hard the whole time, better than anybody in the state. And I think that's a fact if you watch them. They run a platoon system a lot of times of 5-5, but they've kind of leaned away from that. They got different guys mixed in at times, but you'll have a time where guys aren't getting going in the starting lineup, and here comes the bench. 5 new faces, freshman Josh Lindsay, Brandon Days. The list goes on with these kids who come out and perform. Connor Klein. There's more names I can continue to speak on, but Chief Cameron, to me, was just insane, this event. I think I say this, and I think a lot of other people say this, but it's hard to find a better 3-and-D guard in the city of Louisville than Jermaine Chief Cameron. He was the leading scorer for St. X in multiple games here at the event. He really got it going against Great Cross, and he came in and he scored 21 points against Lloyd Memorial, which was a really big win to get them started off. Then they played Woodford County. Jermaine Cameron led the team again, 16 points. And then you play Frederick Douglass. In the Frederick Douglass game, Will Hankey really took over. But Jermaine Cameron, Chief Cameron, once again, 13 points. And he was kind of the heart and soul of this team the whole event. I think his name goes undervalued. I think he's a little underrated to some people around the state because when you have St. X, you have Chance Dillingham, Graham Kresman, Jeremiah Jackson. But I think Chief Cameron is putting his name in some elite conversations right now. He's been one of the better guards in the state of Kentucky so far. A lot of people were asking me, is there a better 3-and-D guard in the city of Louisville than Chief Cameron? And we're going to have to find him soon if there is a better one. So congrats to St. X on bringing it home. They had a super tough slate. They beat Lloyd Memorial, who to almost everybody is a top 3 team in the state of Kentucky. They were coming off a huge win against Great Crossing. They beat Woodford County by 5. I think Woodford County deserves their flowers. We'll give them to them in a second. I think they played St. X better than anybody else has this season. And also, best of luck to St. X. They're in California right now. I think they play Georgetown Prep today, and then they have some more coming up. So be interested to see how that goes. We have the LIT coming up, the Louisville Invitational Tournament, but let's not get sidetracked. And Frederick Douglass, who I genuinely believe, I thought they were going to win that game. I thought Woodford County might have set the blueprint on how to beat St. X, but Frederick Douglass battled for a while. They got into it for a little bit, but after that second quarter, it was kind of all St. X. They won by 17. And then St. X absolutely dominated Bryan, Arkansas, winning by way more than what the box score said. So St. X has had themselves a field day this season. They've dominated the KHSAA slate. They take down the out-of-state opponent in Arkansas, and they win King of the Bluegrass. So congrats to King of the Bluegrass, Coach Klein and the Tigers. Best of luck in California, but let's talk about the most outstanding player, which was Armello Boone. Armello Boone was without a doubt the highlight film of the weekend at St. X. Not at St. X, at Fairdale event. So stats aren't posted right now, but Armello averaged 28 to 29 points a game and 8 rebounds, which landed him the most outstanding player. He was electric against Male. He was electric against, well, that was the previous event, excuse me. He was electric against Ashland Blazer. He was electric against Fairdale. He was electric against St. X. And then he got in another battle with Bryan Station. So, where do we rank Armello Boone and the best players in the state? Most everybody has him top 5. I think he's completely dominated. Some people said they wanted to see him perform better against the state talent, and I think that's what he did during this King of the Bluegrass event. And there's not a better time to do it because this is when the talent is the best. This is when the most people are excited and watching. Armello Boone had shot 9 for 21, 6 for 7 from free throws, and had 30 points against Ashland Blazer. Now, here's one thing, too, that I want to kind of talk about. I won't get into a Woodford County ramble, but now that we're on to Armello Boone, Omari Joyner goes out late in the game. He dunks. It was his first game back. He dunks the ball. He falls. He slips. He lands the wrong way. And he doesn't touch the floor again for the rest of the King of the Bluegrass. How much better is this Woodford County team when they're without Omari Joyner? You know, when Omari Joyner comes back, he's their true number 1 point guard. They win almost every game by double digits, you feel. The guy said, if we had him against St. X, we feel we win that game. He's going to give us our 5 points. If we play up against Bryan Station again with our traditional point guard, we're going to win that game. So how long will Omari Joyner be out? No idea. Really hoping him a really quick, speedy recovery because with Thurman Wade, you know, with Mackay, with Armello, with all these guys coming back, getting healthy again, this Woodford County team is going to be dangerous. I think a lot of people counted them out, started the season, didn't have them in a top 25 ranking, didn't even mention their name, speak on them. But I think with their big electric King of the Bluegrass performance, it's really waking them up to a lot of people. I think they, without a doubt, solidified themselves as a top 15 team in the state of Kentucky. If you look at the competition they played against, how they handled it, what they did, I think it's hard not to put them in the top 10. I have them in my top 10 teams in the state right now with how they played at Fairdale, how Coach Deron Brown is coaching, and just how good they can be whenever London comes back. And let me go ahead and speak on these next topics we have. Let's go ahead and get onto it. Let's talk about the WG. Let's go a little far. Let's go to the KLB top performers. I want to go to the Lexington Catholic Hype Up event, but first I want to talk about the top performers. Let's talk about them. They're in no particular order. No particular order at all. Let me make that clear. Just a long list of names. Some guys might be here that's not supposed to be here. Some guys, cut that out. Everybody here deserves to be here, but there's some names that I might have forgot, might have not mentioned. Tried to get this out in about 5 minutes, guys. Really, really crafted this up one quick, but There's some names on here I already know that I don't have on here that deserve to be here. For instance, I think Keyshawn Jordan deserved to be here with his defensive impact. I think Thurman Wade deserved to be here with how he kind of stepped up and became the number 2 option when Omari Joyner was out. So even if a guy's not on here, don't think they weren't a top performer. We have an article dropping in the next following days that has another good 20 names on here. So let's just talk about some of the top ones. Armello Boone was great. We done talked about Armello. DeMarcus Surratt was really, really, really electric for Frederick Douglass. He's been their number 1 all season, but he's really been starting to get it going. Him and Jonte Jenkins, who's on this list as well, have really been the great 1-2 punch at the guard combo for this team. They came into this event hot. They had just beat Scott County by about 30 points. They had just battled with Great Crossing. They had a win against Ballard, and they take care of Male. They beat Male by 8 points. Then they take care of Fairdale by 32, and then they lose in a little bit of a close first half battle, and then it was nothing. They lose to St. X. They got Cooper at Lexington Catholic tomorrow, which don't even get me started on that matchup. That one will be a lot of fun. But I'm really excited to see just how DeMarcus Surratt comes back. He was dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury. He was babying it, and he looked comfortable against North Oldham. KHSAA, let's get these stats out, man. Can't even look at some of the 4th place, 5th place, 3rd place game stats. But DeMarcus Surratt was really good despite the ankle injury. I don't know how much he's babying it. I don't know how bad it is. So when we see him come back, that'll be really good. I'd love to see how a healthy DeMarcus Surratt matches up against a healthy Andy Johnson at Cooper. 2 D1 guys going to, 2 mid-major plus guys. They're going to 2 of the top mid-majors in the country. So, DeMarcus Surratt's not committed yet, but he has the offers already. You know what I mean? But I think that'll be a super fun matchup. Jonte Jenkins, Tate Robinson, 2 other guys on Frederick Douglass. Tate Robinson, if you don't know him, he's an outer state guy. He moved in here from Utah, and he's one of the best catch and shooters in the state of Kentucky. He's going to hit shots when shots matter. He's deadly from the corner. He does have the Hall of Fame corner specialist, which is what I like so much about him. But Jonte Jenkins has been the aggressive guy. He's been the bucket getter. He's been physical. He's been a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. He's not afraid to make the extra pass, get down, drive to the rim, shoot the ball. So I think at the Butler event, for the preseason Butler event, when I seen how Jonte Jenkins was playing with aggressiveness, I think I kind of knew he was bound for a breakout year, and that's what he's doing right now. Him and Surratt, like I said, are the perfect 1-2 punch. Surratt's averaging 18 a game right now. Jonte Jenkins at 16, Tate Robinson at 9. So another guy is Travis Jones. Travis Jones isn't going to amaze you on the box score. The kid's an athletic freak. The kid's a defensive monster. The kid's going to play dirty ball. He's going to be on the ground. Still looking for my guy, Nate Cohen, to get it going, start putting up more and more better numbers, keep making more of an impact. I really like what Douglass has. I've been high on him all season. Now they're really starting to rev the engines up, get it going. So I think this is the perfect time to invest in Douglass. I don't think they're going to let us down. I think Coach Garvin, Coach Smith, and the guys know what they're doing. I think the guys are starting to wake up and come alive. And this team is deadly. E.J. Walker. E.J. Walker's always been complained about and said that he doesn't put up big-time numbers in the stat category against some of the Kentucky talent because he's not dropping 25, 30 a game. But if you know E.J. Walker, that's not the player he is. His goal is to push the pace, hit others in transition. He's a great playmaker. He goes for triple-doubles every night. And that's what he did so well at the event. I've heard he's averaged about 19 and 10 at the event. Great high numbers, double numbers. He was super good against Ashland Blazer, which helped them get the win. They take down Mel, and then they took down Newport in the Consolation Championship. So they came out as the losers bracket winner. I don't want to say losers because when the teams are this good, it feels like there's no real loser at it. They battled with St. X for a good majority of the game until the 4th quarter, where St. X pulled away and won the game by 12. But I think Lloyd Memorial has kind of firmly set themselves in that 3 spot for the top 10 teams in the state of Kentucky. E.J. Walker, Anthony Blackar doing a lot of the dirty work, doing most of the work, a lot of the scoring for that. But next up, I want to talk about Omari Owens. Omari Owens, I believe, led the event in scoring at about 29 points through all the performances. They took down Woodford County in the 5th place game, I believe. Yes, 5th place game. Omari Owens picked up that Jacksonville State offer the game. Congrats, Omari. But Omari, he's always been, if not the most deadly downhill transition guard in the paint, driving guard. If he's not been the best, he's number 2. And I think he kind of shown that. He was able to average 30 a game. He knocked down some threes when it mattered. He got to the free throw line well. When the shooting splits continue to rise and more shots go in for Omari Owens, it's just going to lead for even bigger statistical games. He's going to score his 30 to 32 points a night off going to the lane. But if he continues to knock down three balls and shoot high efficiency from the free throw line, then it's going to be dangerous. Bryan Station has something beautiful going right now. Their guys just play so well together. It's such a team basketball team. And I think that's what people like about Station. Are they the best team in the Lexington area? That's a hot, good question to ask. We spoke on Jeremiah Jackson. Let's hit on Austin Sears. Here's my favorite thing about Austin Sears. He plays like a 5-year vet, but he's a freshman. He goes into these games with a good killer mindset. His goal is to do anything to win the basketball game, and I think that's what Austin does. He has a lethal mid-range pull-up. He's so smart. He has good intangibles, IQ. He really can read the defense and make plays. I've been saying it for a while now. There's not a guard I like more in that 2028 class than Austin, Jordan, and Josh. I think those three are kind of in a league of their own right now, the way they're playing against this high competition. Austin Sears is a freshman going up against some of these high experienced teams, and he's leading in scoring. I think that just shows to how, he trains, how he works hard, how he's got this mindset. He's always been in the fame. He's always been known, but this guy's just not a known guy. This guy's one of the more skilled guards in the state of Kentucky. He had a rough game against Bryan, Arkansas, but when you play a physical, older, experienced defensive-minded team like that, I think with his age, you're allowed a game like that. He shot 5 for 10 against South Laurel, physical, hard opponent. Jordan Mabe, that team preaches defense, and he scored 16 points as a freshman going into that game. He was super, super good against Adair County, where he had 14 points, multiple assists, was getting one of his good friends, Tommy Gregg, in action. Brooks Cargold, the three ball. And I think the way North Oldham runs this offense of constantly shoot the three, they're so much like Kentucky. Shoot the three, swing it to the corners, chuck some shots. And, Austin kind of excels in that because he can come off and he can play off the ball. He can play on the ball. He can hit the open man. That's what I like about Austin Sears the most. Ferlandez Wright gave us his best performance, I feel like, in the first game against Butler County, Kentucky. I'm not against anything on how Fairdale performed. I think Fairdale played really good. They got a really good round one win against Butler County. Reminder, both of the Butler County and the Fairdale teams were dealing with some injuries and some guys out. Fairdale still waiting for a few transfers to join the team. In Butler County, still without Lawson Rice. And previously at the Derby City tip-off lost Clayton DeWeese, who was their sixth man. So you're without one of your top 5-10 player in the state, and Lawson Rice you're without. Then you're without Clayton DeWeese, your sixth man. Bowden, excuse me, I can't pronounce the last name. Bowden out for Fairdale, 6'4", 6'5", physical forward who can hit, play make. So both teams were without some guys, but Fairdale scored 87 points as a team. Ferlandez Wright had 18 and 17, hit 3 to 4 3-pointers, multiple blocks, got on the rim. And I think Ferlandez Wright picked up the Ohio offer after. He's had some really good interest. Fairdale started 1-0 against Butler, so you really expected them to dominate maybe, but they lost by 32 to Frederick Douglass, then 13 to Woodford. Kind of used a lot of their gas against Butler County to get that first win, but I think with how young this team is, how much more room they have to grow, I think you're still impressed with their performances. You got a guy like Ferlandez Wright. Kamari Roberts is another name. Kamari Roberts played great defense against Butler County, against Ty Price, Briar Griffin, all these guys making switches, making plays. And that's really good for his resume. He would be another guy I would have on this list. Michael Ray Stennett still finding his three ball, still finding his shot. Once that clicks, it's going to be deadly between those three sophomores. Ty Price struggled and had a rough game against Fairdale, but he done what superstars and star players do. He bounced back and he finished the tournament super strong. Had 30-point performances against Mel and Ashland Blazer, matched up with elite competition like Xander Carter, matched up with elite competition like Jordan Mitchell, and gave them good games. They lost to Fairdale, they lost to Mel, 2 hard-fought, battled games, but then they were able to take down Ashland Blazer, which was a really fun game. Ty Price had 31 points, 8 for 15 from 3. There was a stretch where pretty sure Ty hit 7 of his last 8. So really good performances from Ty. I think Butler County is still impressing me despite being out some guys. The Warren East loss wasn't pretty. You don't want to lose that game, but they bounced it back with 2 region wins against Owensboro and then Apollo. They got a really good win against Ashland Blazer, who, by the way, Ashland, very similar to Butler County. They have some injuries. They have some guys waiting to come back. It's hard to judge these teams right now. But I'm really excited for the matchup Butler County has at Lexcath tomorrow, how Ty Price, Briar Griffin, Trevor DeWeese, Castle, and how these guys perform against a strong North Laurel team. We'll talk about that a little later. But Ty Price really found his groove in those final few games at Fairdale. Hopefully he's back in the right mind state, ready to play. And he's going to have a fun event at this Lexcath. And Same with a lot of these other guys on the list. We have multiple of these guys. If you're not playing in the LexCath event, a lot of these people are going to Henderson County to play up at the GMC event, and then a lot of them's also going out east to play at the AIT. Some Mr. Basketball candidates in the AIT, Maddox Huff, I believe Xander Carter's playing with Ashland, and then I believe EJ Walker will be over there with Lloyd Memorial. So the AIT should be fun too. Just not going to hit on it too much today. Ty Bell, out-of-state guy, son of Roger Bell, played really good for Monterey Lakes. To some people, he was the best guard there. He just made such good plays for his age. He's going to have a really fun story, and it's going to be really fun to see how he continues to progress and get better. I'm super excited to see that. RJ Young has been great for Arkansas. So was Kamarion Mead. So was RJ Newton. Isaiah Cochran made the list for me. They got an early loss to North Oldham, which a lot of people were upset about. A lot of people think Adair County should have won that game, but it was a different environment. Let me make sure volume's working for us, guys. Had a text saying the volume was not 100%. I want to make sure this is still streaming. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in early today. See that? Perfect. We're good on Facebook. And we're good on Twitter. So sounds good, guys. If the volume is not working, refresh your app, maybe restart it, see if it works better there. Sorry for that, folks. But let's get back into it. I think Adair County did have a rough loss that they really didn't want against North Oldham. They were coming off a really hot stretch where they hadn't lost in a while. Maybe their heads got a little too big. Could have been some out coaching. Could have been just some better player performances. I wasn't able to make most of the North Oldham game besides seeing Tommy Gregg play a phenomenal game. But Isaiah Cochran wasn't, getting comfortable, wasn't getting in spots he wanted to get in. But he really started to get it going against Trinity Louisville, where they won by 31 points. Isaiah Cochran had 22 points, 9 rebounds, hit some three-point shots, got to the rim, and that's what you like about Isaiah Cochran. He's still one of the top unsigned 2025s in the state of Kentucky. It's fun to see him going. Pierre Rondo, son of Rajon Rondo, 7th grader, 2030 prospect, but played like a 2026. He's fun in the offense. He gets guys going. He gets guys involved. Him and Sears are going to be a really fun backcourt these next few years. He's a great playmaker, just like his dad. He looks to pass first a lot, and I'm really impressed with how he performed against some of this top talent. Jonte Jenkins, we spoke on. Jordan Mitchell continues to be the best statistical 2028. He's always going to be compared with guys like a Sears, a Boogie Cook, a Sears, a Boogie Cook, a Josh Lindsey, a Jordan Jackson, because they're all so good for their age in that freshman class. But Jordan Mitchell was really good, especially having to continue to take the number 1 spot with the outage of Cole Edlin. So really proud of how Jordan continues to play. A lot of people's counting Mel out, obviously, with Cole out, but Cole will be back soon. Hopefully, I've heard before February, which is really good to hear. They have some really tough matchups coming up. They play Davis County, they play Warren Central, they play J-Town, they play St. X, they play Great Crossing, and you got the LIT. So it's going to be hard without Cole Edlin, but Jordan Mitchell has really stepped up and looked like a veteran for him so far. Jason Gasway, his teammate, hard-nosed, hard fighter, definition of a senior, can knock down the three, gets inside, plays a lot taller than 6'4". James Turner, one of the best 3-and-D big men. James's shot has continued to been falling more often. He's taking more shots, getting more comfortable. Chance Dillingham, the leader, the point guard for this St. X team, which played phenomenal and won the KOB. Anthony Blacar for Lloyd Memorial, being, him and EJ Walker being the Batman and Robin up there, being great, winning the consolation bracket. Jordan Mabe was phenomenal. The guy got to the rim when he wanted to. He knocked down some threes, which has been a concern. How efficiently can he shoot the ball? They were falling for him. He hit some really crucial threes against Trinity. He had a really strong game against he had a really good game whenever he went up against Juju Edmonds. Then Juju Edmonds went up against some, prayers for Juju Edmonds. I know he's out right now with a concussion. Him and Jordan Mabe were going at it in the start of that game, and then Juju went out the rest. All right, that's very good, Hunter. Thank you. I just read that comment. I'll speak of that in a second. That'll be good. Let's go ahead and kind of transition and get into the LexCath hype up. I'll finish off these last few names. What's going on with Trinity? We'll get into that in a second. But Jaden Johnson finished the tournament really strong, especially against Monterey Lakes. Despite losing the game, he had 26 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. He started to get it going. Despite the loss against Fairdale, he still put in a few baskets. But South Laurel. He wasn't getting things going, but he finished off strong with that game against Monterey Lakes. It's one of those games you need, going into the rest of the season. You can put those bad games behind and kind of refresh and move on. He still made plays even when shots weren't falling. Xander Carter, I know Ashland's disappointed with their trip down. I think they wanted more wins. I think they wanted to play better. Sometimes you don't have a great tournament. The guys are still not healthy. The guys are still getting other people back. They lost 3 there. They battled with Woodford in overtime. They battled in overtime with Lloyd Memorial. And then they were just tired, exhausted, fought a hard-fought Butler team, which was really wanting a win. They were out for blood. That's the right word. Butler County wanted to beat Ashland Blazer, and they did. It'll be fun to see how they bounce back at the AIT. I think they got Walton Verona tomorrow. So it'll be fun to see how how Ashland comes back from these losses, how they get some guys back, how they continue to play, how everybody gets fit into their roles. Tommy Gregg, 2027, I'll end it off there. He was electric. He plays so much bigger than his size. He has so much more, height and muscle to add onto his frame. He's already standing at about 6'5", 6'6". He was the talk of the event day one against Adair County. He had 22 points. I think he was 9 for 10. He was catching all of our eyes. He had me in the stands extremely excited. He's a super good player. He's a beast, man. He's going to be great. Him and his teammate Austin Sears have multiple more years to go together. They complement each other so well with Austin's playmaking and scoring ability, Tommy's ability to stretch the floor, catch passes from Austin, and it was just a super fun North Oldham team. I think a lot of more people were introduced to them, and I think we can kind of start judging them now because beforehand we've seen how they had lost a game to Walton Verona, lost a game to Ballard, but then they were getting some wins, not against the craziest, strongest competition, but then they beat South Laurel, then they beat Adair County, and, things start to change. They have the New Year's Classic against Butler Louisville, which will be a lot of fun. But right now they get a few days off until tomorrow. They come back and play against Graves County. So it'll be fun to see how North Oldham continues to play. Let's go ahead and get into our other part of the show. Let's talk about our top 10 teams in the state of Kentucky. Let's do it. What's my updated top 10 teams? It's a hard list to make. It's the hardest list to make every week. You're going to leave off teams you don't want to leave off. You're going to leave people off. You're going to make some people mad. You're going to make some coaches mad, but you got to do it. Number 1, St. X. That ain't going nowhere. We talked about them all show. Great Crossing. I've seen some people move Great Crossing down to 3 and 4. I know they had some hard-fought losses, but can we look at the competition they were playing? They went to Palm City. They played Christopher Columbus, Boozer Twins, son of Jason Richardson, elite competition, elite talent. They came back against Westminster Academy, which is another really strong team in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who would compete for state, maybe win it every year in Kentucky. Malachi Moreno had a quieter game, but Vince Dawson was able to step up. LJ Holman really impressed a lot of people and scouts down there. But then they got a really, really big win against Bishop Mackinac. Malachi Moreno played his best game of the season, 39 points, 15 for 15 from the field, set some school records. Would have had 46 points if he could have hit 7 more free throws. But great game for Malachi Moreno. Was able to grab boards, play good defense, showcase himself as an elite talent down there in front of so many people. It's going to be fun to see him come back to the state because last time they played an in-state team, they played St. X at St. X. And, I know that's a game Great Crossing don't want to be reminded of. How will game plans change? How will they play? They lost 3 straight games. They ended it off with a win. They'll play at Myrtle Beach for tomorrow, the next day. They get that little stretch again. They go from Florida, then they go back up to Myrtle Beach. So it should be a fun event at the Myrtle Beach Convention. They played in it last season, lost 1 game, 1 out. So it's going to be a lot of fun. They'll come back and they'll play Butler County Friday, January 3rd. Then they'll play Bel Air, Texas, Madison Central. They got a super strong, super heavyweight type of schedule. Let's see how they win out. Let's see how they play. Let's see how it goes before we keep dropping Great Crossing. 3 is Lloyd Memorial. We've talked about them a lot. They've battled St. X better than almost anybody else. They beat other teams below them on this list. E.J. Walker and Ant Blackar continue to look like one of the best duos in the state of Kentucky. E.J. looking like one of the top players in the state of Kentucky. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lloyd heats it up. The 9th region's fun this year. I really like almost every single one of the teams, to be honest with you, and how they'll continue to get it going. I really like Cupcath. I really like Cooper. I really like Newport. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these guys go up against each other in this region, in this district, things like that. I think the schedule for Lloyd Memorial lightens up a little bit. They do have Harlan County tomorrow, but it does lighten up a little bit. They've fought some absolute battles, these last few games. They played Newport, they played Male, they played Ashland Blazer, they played St. X. They won 4 of those games, only losing to St. X in a game where they kind of let it go in the 4th. So it's not a game you can be too hard on these guys about. Big learning curve. So I like Lloyd Memorial there. I like Douglas at 4 as well. I'm being honest with you. Frederick Douglass is getting hot at the right time. Frederick Douglass got some good wins at the King of the Bluegrass here recently. They dominated Fairdale. They dominated Male for some portions of the game. Male game got close, the only one within 8. They lost to St. X in a game that should have been a lot closer than it was. It really should have been. I really expected Frederick Douglass to battle with them better, but it's a loss you move on from. Frederick Douglass has a really tough schedule. They'll have to play Bryan Station. They'll have to play Scott County. They'll have to play Harlan County before the year's over. Harlan County coming in and just, a event type of game, not a region or district matchup. But so it should be fun as we continue to judge who Frederick Douglass is. They play Cooper tomorrow, which should be a really good guard matchup. How healthy is DeMarcus Surratt? That'll play a big portion. Bryan Station was waiting for their respect, and they've got it, especially from me. My biggest complaint with Bryan Station was I didn't feel they had played anybody so far. I thought their competition was weaker until they came into KOB, and they really impressed me at the KOB. They beat Newport by 30 points. They battle with Bryan, Arkansas, only losing to 10. Then they take down South Laurel. Then they take down Woodford County. Multiple good wins to add to your resume. Amari Owens has been one of the best players, one of the best scorers in the state of Kentucky so far. We'll continue to see how he keeps going. Rashad Faulkner is a really efficient shooter that I've really been into. I think Rashad Faulkner really shot the ball well at the KOB. He's shooting 45% as a player right now. He's a guy I'm high on. I really do enjoy the way he plays. Same with Brunley Fawn. Same with Tayshawn Adams. Tayshawn Adams is a highlight type of guy with his size and his leaping ability, but I think he really played a great defensive role and, a cleanup crew type of role this past event at KOB. He didn't have to be the number one option every game, and he settled for it. He didn't care. He played dirty work basketball. He was still scoring 7 to 10 points a game, grabbing boards, making plays. So when you got guys like that, it's always going to lead for success. I think he's a scholarship-level college player. Don't know where he will play at, but I think he will play college basketball. Same with Rashad Faulkner. So I think it's a good team over there at Bryan Station. I think Champ Ligon coaches them very well. I think Coach Jay on the sideline coaches them well. I think they're fun. I think they're energetic, and I'm interested to see how they continue to play and how things go. Callaway County, they were really high for me last week, and they really didn't have any losses or anything change. They're still a really fun team. They'll get back in action tomorrow against Louisville Trinity. They have the huge win against Pope John Paul at Murray State, which was a big-time win. They've dominated out-of-state teams in Tennessee. They beat Graves County. They beat Union County. They beat Murray, and they just recently beat Peoria Richwoods from Illinois. So they got some good out-of-state wins under their belt. Pope John Paul is a great team that would be a top 10 team in Kentucky if they were put in here. So it's really fun to see how they're playing. Luke Armstrong and Connor Lockhart's given double digits for this team, and Jonah Butler and Eli Finley are giving 20 points per game to this team. They play great all around together. Coach Cleaver is an absolute beast of a head coach. They should win the first region. Love to see this team at the state tournament. Jonah Butler is playing as good as advertised. How will this team continue to play up against strong competition like Marshall County, like they'll have Butler County, they will have Trinity? So how will they perform against some of these other top county schools and a team like Trinity coming up? Trinity has some of the talent to match them, but how will coaching go in that game? We'll talk about Trinity here in a minute on what's kind of going on, but I'll take Callaway tomorrow in that event against Trinity. That'll be a fun one. Hazard. A lot of people complain about the talent level in Eastern Kentucky. They say the talent's not as strong, but that's not true. We've seen the Mr. Kentucky basketball leaderboards with a guy like a Xander Carter, a Maddox Huff. There is talent in the mountains, whether if you want to believe it or not. And so far, the best team in the mountains has been Hazard. They've beat the 2 and 3 best teams in Eastern Kentucky in Ashland Blazer and Harlan County. Was there some asterisks to that game against Blazer with some guys out? Yes, but they still got the win. They still beat Harlan County. Their schedule lightens up a little bit. I think they play Madison County, Georgia today. Then they have 2 other games they're playing at the Rocky Top Sports World event right now. Evan Eversole and Dalton Combs have been the 1 and 2 for them so far. They've been electric. Seth Caudell has been averaging 14 a game for them too. Evan Eversole has been averaging 20 and 10 a game. He's been fun, electric, one of the best double-double threats in the state of Kentucky. A lot of people's not able to get familiar with Hazard due to where they're located, but right now they're looking to win the 14th region. They're looking to compete at the state tournament. I think they're going to be physical. I think they're going to be fun. I think they bring energy. They have a really, really, really good big three in Evan Eversole, Seth Caudell, and Dalton Combs. They have the role players you need. They have the guys willing to win games. So I think this Hazard team can compete with a lot of people. They shoot 40% from three, 53% from the field. They grab a lot of rebounds. They average 30 a game. So it's a fun team. I'm super excited to see how they play when they're tasked with larger, stronger competition, because so far when they've played good teams in Ashland and Harlan, they've won. So I can't move them down for winning games. Woodford County comes in at my 8th spot. Woodford County, they had a great KOB. They had a great King of the Bluegrass where Armello Boone looked like one of the best, if not the best player at the event. That's why I came away with the MLP. They had lost to Covington Catholic early in the year in a loss I really wasn't super happy with. I think Covington Catholic is a borderline top 10 team. I would have them probably 11 or 12. But Armello Boone wasn't shooting his best against Covington Catholic. Wasn't really in a big rhythm. They weren't able to hit three-pointers. They missed a few cheap shot free throws. They didn't shoot great from the field, so just a bad shooting performance against Covington Catholic. But they were able to take down Ballard, who I have on this list as well. They lost to Mel by 8 points. They beat Ashland Blazer. They battled St. X better than anybody else has so far. They destroyed Fairdale, at a lot of moments. And then they got in a battle with Bryan Station, where Bryan Station came out on top. The game got chippy. The game got interesting. Just a few plays settled that game. And I think that's what makes that team so special, is the way they've kind of competed against this strong competition. They're without Amari Joyner right now. They're a hard team to judge without Amari Joyner. So we'll continue to see this team get healthy. That's a big thing for almost every team. They're not healthy. Amari Joyner's out for Woodford County. Ashland Blazers out. Multiple guys. Fairdale's dealing with transfers. DeMarcus Sherrod's playing on a bad ankle right now. Butler County's without Lawson Rice and Clayton DeWeese. So once these guys get healthy, it'll be different stories. A lot of people who's not on these lists, I think, will be rising into these names, rising into these rankings. Let's see these people get healthy. And let's see how this continues to pan out. I'd hate to hold health against a lot of people, which is why I'm still as high on Mel. A lot of people's not too high on Mel. I'm high on Mel. They're without Cole Elam, one of the best players in the state of Kentucky, and they're still winning games. They're a borderline top 10 team for me still. They probably come in at 11 or 12. Number 9 is GRC. GRC I've unfortunately not got to see in person yet. Everything's been highlights or small posts at the end of the games. They've not lost yet. They're 8-0 right now. They play LaRue County tomorrow. They got a good win against Taylor County, but besides that, some of their other competition hadn't been as strong. But I like the Taylor County win a lot. I think their schedule really strengthens up. They're a second-half schedule type of team if you look at who they play. They'll play Great Crossing. They'll play Scott County. They'll play Lexcath. They'll play Montgomery. They'll play Madison Central. They'll play Woodford. They'll play Ashland Blazer. They'll play Cooper. Those 8 games in the second half of the schedule is not easy. And I think that's where we'll get to see how good this team is at GRC. What I like about GRC is that almost anybody can get a bucket. Connor Morgeson, Sam Spillman, Jamilin Johnson, Amari Bartleson, Eli Craig, Montez Gay, Malachi Ashford. Ashford and Montez Gay have been putting up about 15 apiece right now. Eli Craig is one of the better shooters in the state of Kentucky, so he's a threat to them. Malachi Ashford's getting to the line great so far. Same with Montez Gay. They're a fun team. Good basketball teams win games, and that's what they've done so far. They're putting up 70 a night. They grab 30 rebounds. They're a great team on paper. Let's see them in person. Get to see them tomorrow as they'll play LaRue County at the Lexington Catholic. I think GRC is the much better team, but if they're much better, let's see how they dominate. Let's see how they play LaRue County versus GRC tomorrow. And finally, Ballard. A lot of people will say, who do you prefer? Do you prefer Ballard or Covcath? Because they slide into that 9 spot for a lot of people, that 10 spot. I like Ballard because they beat Covington Catholic. I think Blake Russell has been one of the top players so far statewide. Definitely, without a doubt, top players in the big man category. He's not going to shoot the skin off the ball. He's not going to impress you from 3, but he's a traditional big man. He averages 17 and 9. He's great back to basket. Had a super good game when him and Justice Decker matched up just recently, where Ballard got that big time win against DuPont Manual. Look, here's what I'm going to say for Ballard. You got 3 losses you're not happy with, but then you sit back and you look who they're against. They're against Douglas. Douglas, Woodford County, 2 teams ahead of you. You battled with Woodford within 10. You battled with Frederick Douglass for moments, but ended up losing big. And then you lost to Aiken out of Cincinnati, Ohio. You're also happy with the wins you got. You have a win against DuPont Manual and Covington Catholic. So Ballard, got to see some more out of them. I think they're 6-3. Yeah, they're 6-3 right now. They'll play at Marshall County the 28th. See how that goes. They got Cooper the 7th. They got Oldham County. They got Cal. They got Fern Creek. They got Mill. They got J-Town, St. X, Trinity. So that schedule gets strong. You play some hard teams. You play some good, talented teams. We'll see how they play, how they continue to get it going. The top 10 is hard to make every week. This week it was just about as hard as it's ever been. But let's talk about the WGM Classic at Lexington Catholic. Below are all the teams that's participating this year. Newport, DuPont Manual, North Laurel, Butler County, Lexington Catholic, Lyon County, Boyd County, Bryan Station, George Rogers Clark, LaRue County, Trinity Louisville, Callaway County, Frederick Douglass, Cooper, Woodford County, and Greene County. It's a loaded event. It really is a loaded event like it is every year. When we did the Fairdale event, we picked our winners. We picked our brackets. We picked who we thought would win round 1 games. Let's do it again. Let's do it again and say who we think will win these games. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, actually, here's how we'll say it. So when Newport and Manual's beside each other, that means they match up. Whenever North Laurel and Butler County match up, that means they're going. So everybody's names who's beside each other will be playing. Newport and Manual play. Laurel Butler. Lex Cath line. So I tried to make that a little easy because I couldn't include the graphic image on the screen. But if you're wondering who plays, just look at it like that. Let's talk about game 1, Newport and Manual. 2 teams that I'm kind of uncertain on. I've not got to see Manual at all. The one time I was able to see some work from Manual was whenever they played up against Ballard, which they didn't win. They didn't play their best game. Justice Decker, Coleman, some of the guys over there, how will they play against a physical Newport team? Newport has been dealing with a lot of struggles. The guys aren't necessarily getting along. The bench, there's problems on the bench, so it's a weird, hard team to judge. I'm not happy with some of the team chemistry there. A lot of it hurts without Yamil Rondon not being there yet, the traditional point guard, but I love the Lowe brothers. I love Griffin Starks, James Turner. I love when this team's hot and how they play because they're without a doubt one of the more talented teams in the state. How will Justice Decker, Griffin Starks, James Turner, the big guys, how will they match up in this game? I think that'll be a big determining factor. I like the age that DuPont Manual has on them, and I like the competition that DuPont has played against and won. So I'm going to take DuPont Manual to come out in that game. DuPont has only 1 loss on them this year, and that's against a tough Ballard team. And I think this team's going to play really good. Noah Smith is an underrated kid I want to speak on. Malachi Coleman's averaging 23 points a game. I don't know if anyone on Newport will be able to slow him down and not allow him to score the ball. That's what kind of stands out to me. So I'm going to take Manual over Newport in that first round. I'm also going to take Butler County over North Laurel. I'll tell you why I'll take Butler County over North Laurel. North Laurel's kind of struggled finding an offensive guy or somebody who can dominate outside of Reese Davidson. Will Reese Davidson have somebody step up and help him out, or will Reese Davidson have to kind of help win this game on his own? This team doesn't like to play a super fast style. They only average about 60 points a game. But one thing I want to see from Reese Davidson is I want to see him continue to stand out and shoot the 3-point shot. He's shooting 40% on the season right now and only 20 attempts. Reese Davidson could dominate this game and win it on his own. He's such a big monster. He's a 6'8" sniper who can get in the paint and play, rebound the ball, but how will the game go? There's a lot of what ifs. But I like the big win that Butler County's coming off right now. I really do like that. I like how Butler County was able to kind of handle Ashland Blazer by 15 points. They battled Mel. Both Mel and Butler were not healthy, and they battled. Last 2 times Butler and Mel's played summer and preseason, it's went down to 3 points. I think Ty Price is starting to get it going, and it's hard to beat a hot Ty Price. I think Justin Caslin has been underrated all season. I think he's a double threat every night, just like his teammate Trevor DeWeese. So I'm going to take Butler County in that game. Butler County versus Manual will be a fun one because that'll be physical. That'll be some age in that game. It'll be older physical teams looking for a big win. I'm going to take Butler County, but I wouldn't count out the chance of Reese Davidson dominating and having a big-time game there. Lexington Catholic, Lyon County, 2 teams I've not seen a lot of this season. I think a lot of us want to see these teams. That's why they're matched up there. Lyon County's not lost yet. They've beat Murray. They've beat Caverna. They beat Livingston Central Union County. I could be wrong. Their schedules may not be updated, but tomorrow could be their first game in 14 days. That could not be true. That could just be a KHSAA miss up. But it's hard to win a game if you're not played in 2 weeks. You can either be, fresh legged, ready to go, or you can be a little, rusty. Lexington Catholic has lost 2 games this year. They lost to North Laurel and they lost to Covington Catholic. They ended up beating Male just the other day. So I'm going to go with my gut here, and I'm going to take Lexington Catholic in this win. They're 2 teams I'm not super familiar with. I do know Hank Whittle and Ryan Harwood at Lexington Catholic. So I'm going to take Lexington Catholic in that one. But that's a 50-50 game for me. I think Bray Kirk and Lyon County could pull off that win. Once again, 2 teams I'm not super familiar with. Let's see how that one plays out. And yes, we are familiar with that. Hunter said it 35 times. Lawson Rice still out for Butler County. So is Clayton DeWeese. So, it's hard to pick a Butler County when they're hurt, but other guys are stepping up. Castleton's been great. Ty Price has been great. They're getting hot at the right time. Will the slow-paced, kind of slower game, physical game of North Laurel be able to handle the high-speed offense of Butler County? Boyd County and Bryan Station. Boyd County has some losses on their resume right now, but they're still a great basketball team. Jacob Spurlock has been electric. He's been one of the top players in the state of Kentucky. He's averaging 28 and 8 a game. He's going to shoot the hell out of the basketball, and he's going to hit those shots. They got into some offensive and defensive battles down when they went to Florida and played where they were 1-2 on the event. They got in a game against Dobbins Bennett where they scored 105, but they just scored 114. So they've been in the battles of offensive games. They've had games where they can't get it going. They faced adversity. So Boyd County, this will be a really good test against the Bryan Station team that likes to run the floor. They like to get inside. They like to run transition. They like to score in the paint. Who will match up with Amari Owens, though, is my question. Who will match up against Amari Owens, but at the same time, who will match up against Jacob Spurlock? It's a 50-50 type of basketball game. You got the shooting on Boyd County. You got the electric energy and the driving ability of Bryan Station. They're 2 different basketball teams. If the shots are falling for Boyd County, it'll be hard to beat. If Boyd County allows Bryan Station to get to the rim, make plays inside like they want, it's going to be all but over for Boyd County. I said it last week for Fairdale Butler County. I'm 50-50. I won't be choosing. I'd go with my gut and say 1. I'd go with my heart and say 1. I don't know who wins that game. It's a game of what ifs, Boyd or Bryan Station. If I pick one, I'll get flamed on Twitter and got at Facebook. If I don't pick the other, I will too. So let's say 50-50. GRC, LaRue County. I'm going to take George Rogers Clark. I like LaRue County. I like some of the guys they have on that team. But I think the physicality and the energy and some of the age and some of the skill talent that GRC has over LaRue, I like more. I do like the size of LaRue. Landon Blakey is a player I do like. I think he's played really good ball so far. 18 points and 10 rebounds. They lost a game to Grayson County recently, and then they played 2 homeschool teams. It's hard to judge games against the homeschool teams, but 2 wins for LaRue County recently. Before that, they had beat Caverna. They had beat Barron. But they had a bad loss to South Warren, in my opinion, and they lost to Grayson County by double digits. I think Grayson County and GRC are similar teams in a sense. They're teams that the Grayson County was a really big game for LaRue County to kind of see and prove the team they were. They were only able to score 60 points, didn't really get comfortable. I don't think GRC will allow them to get comfortable. I'll take GRC. Trinity and Callaway County, I'll be taking in that game, but I do expect Jaden Johnson to have a solid basketball game for Trinity. Nothing's good right now at Trinity. Everybody knows it. There's Postmate daily. Something wrong is happening. They go to KLB. They lose 3 straight. They're struggling to put over 50 points a game, man. And even before the KLB event, people weren't sure what was happening. The talent that is on Trinity, this is not a team that shouldn't be – this is a team that should be competing for state. This isn't a team that should be competing to get wins in the regular season. So I think that's what – that's a lot of people upset. They want some changes in the game plan, coaching stuff messed around, things happening, changing different. They want other players stepping up. Juju Edmonds, as far as I know, is out with the concussion. So it's a really hard team to judge. I love the guys at Trinity. I like this team on the outside, but then you start looking inside on what's going on, and it's hard to pick a team like that to win. I'm not going to be taking Trinity in this one as much as I love those guys. I'm going to take Callaway, who I've talked about a few times tonight already. In my opinion, the best county school right now. Callaway County looks really good. They do look really good. I think Eli Finley and Jonah Butler is going to give you your 20 a night. And then when Connor Lockhart's hitting shots and Jack Armstrong's playing physical basketball, it's a hard team to beat. Frederick Douglass versus Cooper is the one I'm super, super excited to see because I think you get to see great guard play in Andy Johnson, Surratt, and Jenkins go against each other. Now, Cooper doesn't really have an established number two to a lot of people. They don't know who steps up when Andy Johnson isn't going. So far, no one's had to because Andy Johnson's averaging 30 and 10 on 50, 40, 90 almost. But Isaac Brown is a 10-point per game scorer, so is Roman Combs. So other guys can get a bucket when you need it. Now, here's the thing that fears me for Cooper. They've hit 26 threes on the season, 13 of them from Andy. How will this team be able to stretch the floor? Nobody shoots over 35% from three on the team other than Andy. What's their offense going to look like if Surratt or Jenkins is able to control Andy Johnson? But then you say, well, what if they can't control Andy Johnson and he takes over the game? That's another very fair argument. Douglass versus Cooper, who will win? I think Douglass is the better team. I think Douglass is starting to get going. So I think the team that's hot right now, the team that looks good, the team that's went through some adversity and played harder competition, it'll come out to show. I'll take Frederick Douglass in this one. I think it'll be competitive at times. I think there'll be some fun offense on each side. But I think the growing pains that Douglass has had at times against like a Great Crossing, a St. X, I think those things have worked out for them. They've made them better. And now they'll compete against high-quality offense like Andy Johnson and see how they can handle kind of a one-man show with Cooper. Last game will be Woodford and Greene County. And if you've not got to see Moody Kuyate, Eric James Jr., Cooper Stone, Jody Marr, Hayden Blakeman, the guys at Greene County, you've been missing out. They're without a doubt one of the favorites in the 5th region. And this will be their first time really on the big, big stage where a lot of people's going to be seeing them. They have wins against Louisville Butler. They have wins against Caverna, which are two good wins to have. Those are two not necessarily extremely high-quality wins, but they're really good wins against good teams. So I think you're really excited to have those games under your belt if you're Greene County. But now is where the strength of schedule starts to heat up. You play some of those stronger 5th region teams. You don't have a Dare this year on your schedule. We won't get into that one. But they got a Woodford County game here that's really going to tell, how this team plays against a great coach and a great led basketball team. They're led by Armello Boone, who was just the best player at the King of the Bluegrass event. Eric James Jr., similar to Armello Boone in a lot of ways. Eric James Jr. scores at a high clip. One thing for Eric James Jr. that's been a complaint to some people is can he hit the three ball? He's shooting 32% from the three right now. Will he be able to knock down the shots when it comes big tomorrow? Will he have to? Will a guy like Tanner Willis step up and be their three-point shooter? Hayden Blakeman, they have so many guys who can knock down the three, which takes some of the pressure off these guys where shots aren't falling right now. Modi Kuyate might be able to have himself a big-time night. Same with Hayden Blakeman. The inside with Joe and Carson Probst, they've not exactly had a big man right now for Woodford that has dominated. Carson and Joe have kind of been moving around, trying to get it going, figuring out what's the right piece. So I ask this, will they be able to handle the size of Hayden Blakeman and Modi Kuyate inside? That'll be a good question. That'll be a really good question. How will they be able to handle that? But will Greene County be able to guard and handle the guard play between Thurman Wade, who can slow the offense down, play his speed, or Armello Boone, who can go at you 100% or play 50% and slow the offense down? It's going to be hard to stop Armello Boone. I love Greene County a lot. They're one of my favorite teams in the state of Kentucky just because of how they play. But this is going to be a tough matchup. This is going to be a really tough matchup. Woodford County's hot right now. They're happy. They're excited. They've got some fresh legs these last few days, and we've seen what happened when they came into a tournament with fresh legs. They almost beat St. X and they beat Ashland. So who do you pick in this game? I think Woodford County has had to play the harder competition to build themselves up to this moment, but I think Greene County's trying to make a name for themselves. I'm going 50-50 on this one. My heart leans toward Woodford a little bit, but my gut's telling me Greene County is coming to this event to make some noise for a reason. So who do I pick? I'm staying 50-50 on that one. There's two games I picked 50-50 on. It's Woodford, Greene County, and then I wasn't too sure on Boyd County, Bryan Station. They're two fun guard-heavy teams that I think are going to go at it. And then when these guys get over with their games, they move on. Winners move on and play. You could have, a Manual versus Butler County, a Lexcath versus Station, a Woodford County versus Douglass. I like the right side of the bracket a lot. Woodford, Greene County, Douglass, Cooper, Trinity, Callaway, GRC, LaRue. But the left has some more aged, veteran, experienced teams with the DuPont Manual, the Butler County, the Lexington Catholic, the Lyon County. So the style of play on each side of the bracket's different. It's going to be good basketball games all 3 to 4 days at this event. I look to try to catch every game tomorrow. I hope to see some fans and some people there for some high quality high school basketball. I've done it again, folks, 3 weeks in a row. I've kept you for about an hour right now. We have some people asking who's making it to state right now. The favorite is St. X, but a lot can change. A lot can change. St. X looked great last night, dominated in the LIT, looked like the most unbeatable team, but fell apart in region. Will that be the case this year? It's still a lot to tell. We have our favorites. We have our predictions. I'll go back and show my top 10 teams right now for people who might just be joining. We talked about St. X, Great Crossing, Lloyd Memorial, Douglas, Bryan Station, Callaway, Hazard, Woodford, GRC, and Ballard. That's my top 10 teams right now. That's subject to change every day. We talked about the top performance at KOB. We talked about the awards that were given out at KOB, with the St. X winning the championship, Jeremiah Jackson winning the MVP, and Armilla Boone being the most outstanding player. And we highlighted the events and the games going on at the Lex Cath event that will finish off this basketball season. Let me fix that. The 2024 year going into the 2025, which is still the 24-25 season, but we get that new year. How will teams change the way they play? Let's shout out our sponsors one last time. Patton Funeral Home, Stacy's on Main, Tent Studios, Grable Funeral Home, Vet City, Laser Designing, and Fleener Fences. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope everybody had a blessed, great, safe holidays. I hope everybody's healthy. I'm not right now. I know a lot of other people aren't healthy. A lot of people sick, but I hope everybody gets better. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you let me talk to you for another hour about high school basketball and the Kentucky basketball scene. Go ahead and catch me this weekend at Lexington for this awesome Lexington Cath WGM Classic coming up. Everybody stay safe. Everybody be safe on these roads. We have New Year's coming up. Everybody have a great, happy holidays. We'll catch you next week with another show. Everybody stay safe. God bless. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Joseph Decker with The Joe Show.